ask anyone what they are afraid of in the backyard, and they will point at the spider in the corner of the shed, or the snake they have never actually seen. They are guarding against the fang. But the fang is almost never what gets them. In one 13-year Australian study, spiders killed nobody at all. The animals that filled the hospitals and the morgues were smaller, more common, and far easier to ignore. Most of them do not bite, they sting. And the thing that finishes the job is usually not the venom. It is the person's own body. This is a file on the 10 most common attacks happening in ordinary backyards, ranked by how often they actually reach you. We will start with the one under the woodpile and end with the one you have already killed without thinking. Most people say an ant bit them. Almost always, it did not. Fire ants and jackjumpers grip with their jaws only to get a hold. The real weapon is at the other end. They arch the abdomen and drive in a sting, and a fire ant's venom is roughly 95% alkaloid, a class of oily compounds built around one called solanopsin. That is why a fire ant sting burns instead of aching, and why it rarely comes alone. Disturb the nest, and the workers release an alarm pheromone, a chemical alert that tells every ant on your skin to sting at the same moment. In Australia, the jackjumper ant is not a nuisance. It is one of the country's deadliest animals through the reaction it can trigger. One ant is a warning. The smell it leaves is the order to attack. Some of the worst stings in any backyard come from something that looks like a scrap of fur. In the United States, the puss caterpillar carries the most potent caterpillar sting on the continent. What looks like soft hair hides hollow, brittle spines, each connected to a venom gland. Brush against it, and the spines snap off in your skin. People describe the pain as a broken bone, radiating up the whole limb. In Europe and parts of Australia, processionary caterpillars use a different method. A single caterpillar can carry around 600,000 tiny barbed hairs. When threatened, it fires them into the air. Each hair is barely a fifth of a millimeter long, hooked, and designed to lodge in skin, eyes, and airways. And the danger does not leave with the caterpillar. An abandoned nest can keep shedding those hairs for years. Lift a damp board and something long and fast pours out of the light. A centipede does not bite with its mouth. Its first pair of legs, just behind the head, have evolved into curved fangs called forcipules, legs that inject venom. For most backyard species, the result is a sharp, localized pain, closer to a bad wasp sting than a medical emergency. The alarm they cause is out of proportion to the harm they usually do. But the design is worth pausing on. This is an animal that hunts by stabbing you with its feet. Now the spider. This is the animal the whole backyard is supposedly about. Redbacks, widows, funnel webs, the names that empty a shed in seconds. Here is the uncomfortable part. In that same 13-year Australian record, spiders were responsible for 0 deaths. Redback anti-venom, funnel web anti-venom, and simple first aid turned the classic nightmare bite into something people now survive almost without exception. Spiders are not harmless, but they are shy. They are slow to bite, and the fear they generate is enormous compared to the damage they deliver. The spider is the backyard's most famous suspect. It is nowhere near its most dangerous one. A wasp sting hides a strange piece of history. The stinger is a modified ovipositor, the tube the ancestors of wasps once used to lay eggs. It was repurposed into a weapon, which means every wasp that stings you is female, driving in an organ that began as part of reproduction. Unlike a bee, a wasp's sting is smooth. It can pull free and strike again and again. And like the ants, a threatened wasp releases an alarm pheromone that marks you as the target and calls the rest of the nest. You do not get stung by a wasp because you are unlucky. You get stung because, chemically, you have just been labeled. A bee makes the opposite trade. Its sting is barbed like a tiny harpoon. When it stings skin, the barbs catch and the sting tears loose from the bee's body, killing it. Most people know that part. Fewer people know what happens next. That torn-away sting is not finished. Its muscles and venom sac keep working on their own, pumping venom into you for up to a minute after the bee is gone. The faster you scrape it out, the less you receive. There is one more detail. A bee's alarm pheromone smells to us distinctly of bananas. Crush a bee near a hive, and the scent that rises is a chemical marking the intruder. The bee dies in the first second. The attack keeps going without it. Some backyard attackers do not want a reaction. They want to go unnoticed. A tick's saliva carries its own anesthetic and anticoagulant, so the bite is painless and the blood keeps flowing. The tick you never feel is often the one that stays attached longest. And a tick can leave behind something no other backyard animal can. In parts of the United States, a bite from the lone star tick can trigger alpha-gal syndrome, a genuine, sometimes lifelong allergy to red meat. Beef, pork, lamb. Foods. A person ate safely their whole life can begin causing hives, stomach collapse, even anaphylaxis, hours after a meal. More than 100,000 suspected cases were recorded in a little over a decade, and the true number is thought to be far higher. A single bite you did not feel. And mammal meat may never be safe for you again. Not every backyard attack comes from below. For part of the year in Australia, the magpie becomes one of the most reliable attackers on this list, and one of the strangest. A swooping magpie is almost always a male defending a nest, and only around 1 in 10 males does it at all. But the ones that do are not swooping at random. Magpies recognize individual human faces and remember them for up to 20 years. They single out specific people, often specializing in either pedestrians or cyclists, and they can teach that grudge to their young. Most swoops are a warning that never touches you. The real injuries usually come from the fall, the swerve, the panic. It is not attacking a person. It is attacking the one face it decided, seasons ago, to never forget. Here is the fact that reorganizes this entire file. In that Australian study, more than half of all venom deaths were not caused by the poison overwhelming the body. They were caused by anaphylaxis, the body's own immune system reacting so violently that it shut down. Measured that way, bees and wasps killed as many people as snakes. And a detail inside the numbers is quietly chilling. Only around 44% of the people who died from a bee or wasp sting made it to hospital alive, because they did not believe a sting could be serious until it was too late. The venom is only the trigger. For the people most at risk, the weapon has been living inside them all along, which leaves the one you have almost certainly already killed today. The mosquito is both the most common backyard attacker and the deadliest animal on the planet, tied to somewhere between 700,000 and 1 million human deaths a year through the diseases it carries. It hunts in layers. From up to 30 meters away, it locks onto the carbon dioxide in your breath. Closer in, it follows the smell of your skin, which is why it favors ankles and feet, where odor-producing bacteria are strongest. In the final centimeters, it homes in on your body heat. And only the females bite. She is not feeding herself. She needs the protein in your blood to make her eggs. That is the quiet truth under this whole file. The most dangerous thing in your backyard is not hunting you for sport. It is a mother, gathering what she needs and barely noticing the giant she took it from. We are afraid of the fang, the spider, the snake, the ambush from the dark. But the backyard does not work that way. Its real weapons are the sting, the barbed hair, the painless bite, and the immune system already inside the victim. Its most dangerous animal is small enough to swat, and its most common attacker is a mother collecting protein. None of these things is out to get you. That is exactly what makes them so easy to miss. Backyard file. Calm, evidence-led field notes on the strange life just outside your door.